What are auditors responsible for during an audit? So obviously, auditors are responsible for testing the controls in place. During a type 1, they have to ensure that the controls are suitably designed. During a type 2, they have to ensure the controls are suitably designed and operating effectively over a period of time. So auditors are responsible for testing the controls, getting appropriate evidence to support the controls are designed and operating effectively, and concluding on whether the controls are meeting the applicable trust services criteria. They're also responsible for ensuring that any subservice organizations that are included in the report sign a management assertion along with the service organization. In addition, they're responsible for generating the report. So at the end of your audit, you're going to get a 50, 60, 70 page report. It's going to be on the service auditor's letterhead. They're going to give it to you, and it's going to be the results of everything that they had done. They're also responsible for ensuring the scope of the audit is correct. It's important that auditors, that you work with your auditor up front to ensure that they understand your scope. If they don't understand your scope, it could add to your costs. It could add to the time it takes to complete your audit. How do teams typically communicate with the SOC 2 auditor? Typically, a lot of it's done through email, surprisingly. I think a lot of SOC 2 auditors these days can do a lot over email. They can do a lot through platforms or tools they're using. A lot of them have automation tools they're using. A lot of them have document collaboration tools they're using. So a lot of it is really happening through messaging, emails. Very few of it is happening on phone calls these days. In addition, if they do need to do walkthroughs, they will do that over Zoom usually now. Sometimes they do have to go on site. It just depends on the nature of your company and the company that's being audited and the services that are being audited. For certain frameworks like ISO, they might be forced to come on site, but for SOC 2, you're not forced to come on site. It's up to the auditor to determine that. So communication happens, just like any other type of communication, but a lot of it is moving to more digital communication, not so as much in-person communication anymore. What should I know about agreeing to the terms of engagement for a SOC 2? So before you sign up with an auditor, they're going to send you what they call an engagement letter. An engagement letter is a letter from the auditor to you, and it's describing the scope of the audit, all the inherent limitations that the auditor will have when they're doing the audit. It will explain if it's a type 1 or a type 2, the trust services criteria that are included, the dates, if it's a type 2 report, or the as of date for a type 1 report. It's going to talk about any subservice organizations and how they're going to be carved out or included in the report. It's going to talk about restrictions on how you can share the report and have all these other terms and conditions in it. But it's very important to understand that letter is confirming the trust services criteria, the date of your type 2, or the as of date of your type 1. That's what the auditor has to show if they ever get peer reviewed, like here's what we agreed upon. And if you don't understand that, there's a possibility that when your audit starts, you might not have prepared or understood what the auditor was actually going to do. So I would really pay closer attention to this. Yes, it is kind of like a contract, but there is certain language in there that could play a critical role as part of your audit.